All right, good morning, welcome back. I got a pretty cool video for you today, so let's get to it. So first up, I wanna show you a pretty cool game. I mean, it's kind of cool, I like it. It's a balancing game, and it's one of these that you can play as a team, so it's got all these challenges from easy. So this is the first one. So let me show you. So you put the red on there, and then you gotta find a way to put this on where it balances. I already did it, but if you put it there, it's not gonna bounce. Put it there, it's not gonna bounce. But if you put it right there, and of course they get harder and harder and harder, and you do it as a team, right? So it's kind of a team thing. It's got the answers on the back, and you do it as a team. All right, so that's called balancing beans, and I just think it's kind of fun. I love games like that you do, solo games. I have a ton of them because we play them as a team. All right, next up is my free question. It's a free resource plus question of the day. Someone asked, is there a curriculum for peer pressure? And yes, there is. I found 2. And let me tell you the best piece of advice I have for peer pressure that I heard one time that I just thought was so practical and so informative, or so whatever, is that you have to prep your kids if they're going to be, because assume they're going to be in like worst case scenarios. Say they're going to, and someone's going to try and separate them from their peers, or someone's going to try and offer them alcohol or offer them drugs, whatever it is, whatever possible scenario there could be these days. And then come up with solutions, like something that they would say. What would they say if someone said, hey, or someone's been drinking and they're out and says, hey, I'll give you a ride home. What do you say to that person? You can make a joke like, oh, I don't know, I can't think of a joke. But you could also, just practice what they would say. Oh no, sorry, my mom said she's gonna come get me, but thank you. So there's different, just so that they're not caught off guard. It happens to me all the time where my kids are like, hey mom, can I do this? And I'm like, oh yeah. And then afterwards I'm like, oh shoot, like, no, I don't want you doing that. And I'm like, oh. And so, but that was a prep, because next time they ask, I'm gonna be like, no, actually, I don't think that's healthy for you, or whatever it is. But if they catch me off guard the first time, so you don't want your kids caught off guard, like I get caught off guard. You wanna have someone there that's like, hey, if your child asks to play this game that is rated 12 and above, and they are 4, your answer is going to be, no, I'm sorry, it's not age appropriate. Whereas I get caught off guard, I'm like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at like, oh no, for example, completely irrelevant, I don't know, example. Okay, so let's talk about autism tip of the day. Would be this viewer told me about how she plays the pause game with her child. She didn't say whether her child has autism or anything like that, but I'm using it because so it teaches the child that they do have control over their body. They may not think they do, but they do, because so pretend you have a remote control and your child does something, and then you hit pause, and so they have to freeze. So it's demonstrating control that they have, and vice versa. You're dancing, you're doing all crazy, and then they hit pause as well, okay? So, just as an example, as a game, da-da-da. Okay, so today we're talking about curriculum hits and misses. So basically last year, what worked and what didn't work. So I'm gonna go through and we'll go subject by subject. The first subject is not a subject. The first is preschool. So what did I think was a hit? Definitely the Creative Kids online preschool, for sure. Like hands down, if you have time with your child, like a half hour every day or 40 minutes every day that you could do with just your one preschool child, you put on a video and you do the accompanying craft or the worksheet. I think it's super fun. It's super cool. It's got this preschool teacher. She basically teaches your child with Ollie. Ollie is her bird puppet. And yes. And another hit is, so super simple, would be either Abeka or Blossom and Root. So Blossom and Root is secular, they're science, or Abeka's science, because it's so gentle, and it's such a gentle introduction that doesn't require a lot of effort on the parent or the child's part. And then the Elemental Phonics, their pre-reading book, I think is cool because it's just like letter identification and stuff like that. So this stuff I've showed you in a million different videos, but I'm just outlining it today, but I'll attach another video at the end that goes into more detail that you may have already seen. So a miss for preschool would be the All About Reading pre-reading. I thought it was a miss because it's overpriced. It's expensive and you don't need it. It's just for letter identification and sound identification. You don't need that, in my opinion. Okay, so next up is, now we're going subject by subject. So science. Hits are definitely No.eo science, because I just think that's cool for like a summer. If you wanted to pull it out, so it does like grades 3 to 6, for example, or grades 1 to 4, like or 1 to 3. So there's certain grade ranges you can choose, and then almost everything comes in the box. Usually science experiments, even if you buy the extra box, doesn't come with a lot. This you don't have a choice. It's like included in the price. and it's not that expensive, and it comes with all the parts of the experiments you need. It comes with books, comes with everything for like $200. And it covers either physical science, or you can choose chemistry, or you can choose, I believe biology is the third one. And then, so I just think it's cool for like a summer thing, or if you wanted to do one experiment a week or something, like every Friday, that's what you do. So I just think that's a hit. I also think that the Abeka Science, again, because it's so gentle, it's such an introduction to how God created your body in order to protect you. So I love that. I think that's a definite hit. And the Focus On series. The Focus On series is science, but it's like K through 4. And so there's 5 books, one for each area: astronomy, geology, physics, chemistry, and biology, I think, is the last one. And I just think because it's so condensed, there's not a lot of busy work. And so that frees up time that you can do a whole bunch of, you can do different science units, like study units for the rest of it. And you're still learning all that key information. Like, I'm not gonna start it till grade 2 or 3. And yet they're still learning. So they're not missing out on any of the basics, but we can still like do DIY if you wanted to, or some general science study unit stuff. So I think that's very cool. The misses, I would say, is Sunlight. And that just because it's so much busy work, and I just, I've talked at length about how I think it's too much busy work, too much pressure. I just don't recommend it. And then on top of that is I switched from Building Blocks. Not that it was a miss. Building Blocks is by the same company that does Focus On. It's just they did it year by year by year. And it's $162 per year. And I think it's really good, definitely. And it still doesn't have a lot of busy work, but the Focus On series, I think, will allow me to do different study units. Like you can do Bare Feet books, Seasons of Field if I wanted, or Rabbit's Trail, which is a Christian version, a Christian company, if you want to do, different study units. So I just think that gives me a lot more freedom as to how we spend our time and the subjects that we can learn. Do you know what I mean? Like the science topics that we can go into. Okay, art. Yesterday or last video, I shared the Ambleside online, the free like picture study program, because I think that's simple enough as far as a picture study goes. And so that's a hit. And another hit would be the Articulations, I think, is a pretty good program as well. I've showed you in that before. And then also a big hit that I'm gonna use is the Home Art Studio by Lindsay Volan, because she's an art teacher that's teaching her child from kindergarten and up. She might have a preschool one as well. They're DVDs. And so you do the art together while she's doing it. So she's showing you how to do it, and you're doing it while watching the video. And I just think she's a great teacher, and she tells you right on there, like, you're gonna be a full artist by the time, as we go through this. This is what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you how to be an artist. And so I just think that's super neat. The misses would be, again, Sunlight. I don't think it's age appropriate. It's not a bad program. Sunlight doesn't have bad programs. I always just find something better, in my opinion, that I like better. But this is not, their art program's not a bad program. I just don't think it's age appropriately. Like, I don't think kindergartens could do, even though it says K through 3, I don't think you can until you're 2 or 3, grade 3 even. Next up, history. All right, so I think history is the perfect thing to DIY, because all you need is one of those big textbooks I have showed you, or one of those big reference books that I have showed you many a times on here. And again, at the end, I'll attach a video where I go into the, you probably have seen it if you're a fan of my channel and you watch my channel, but it was a few videos ago, but where I go in and I show you which books that I recommend to do the DIY with. But then you Google, okay, Egyptian picture books. And because even up to grade 2 and 3 and 4, you can learn a lot from picture books, and then it's got the stories. So then you get a list of books you can get from the library or buy, and then you can look up some kids' videos for it and draw a picture of what you've learned, or Pinterest an art thing, an art project, and there you go. You've done history quite well. So another thing you can do is, of course, I do like the Classical Conversations, the history cards. You can use those if you want like more guidance, because it's a card for every kind of event that went on throughout history, if you will. It starts with, okay, and then there's also the timeline song is so cool. The timeline songs, you will find it, I think, by searching Cycle 1 on Apple. I can't connect a link to it, but, and Classical Conversations you can do, which is secular. Well, it's not secular, so open to anyone. You could do Story of the World, you can do, so there's a lot of good history, but Biblioplan, I showed you what I'm doing specifically for history, but the misses would be Winter's Promise is it's way too wordy for young kids. It's Winter's Promise and it's hideaways in history and stuff. It's got a lot of cool elements, but for the cost, it's like a few $100s, and it's very wordy for littlest kids, and that's what it's made for, young kids, so I think it's pretty wordy. So that to me would be a miss. All right, math hits, Math with Confidence and Math Mammoth are my favorites. But again, I made a video as to what's better, secular or mastery. It doesn't matter. I honestly don't think it matters. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I don't like Spiral because it reminds me of growing up and how my relationship with math, which is not brilliant. So I get overwhelmed when I see it. So I like Mastery, and I'm learning along with my children, which I am for most subjects. Of course, I guess a lot of us are. So that's just my personal preference is Mastery, but I mean, Spiral's good too. What I think is a miss is kind of Beast Academy unless your child is older. I think it's a good curriculum. It's a comic book curriculum, but I think that, and it's considered a full curriculum. It's just that, you know, having done it with this little guy here, I don't know if you can see him, but he likes to do it with me, and I just think it's great for starting it because it starts right at it starts right at 0 to 20. So you can't like jump into it in kindergarten or grade 1 per se. But if you're an older child, I think it's awesome to go back and then go through comic book style and learn that way. But just as a curriculum that starts for at the normal grade levels, if you know what I mean, I don't think that it's made for that per se. I don't think it's specialized in that just because it's very confusing. I found it confusing when I jumped in because there was some stuff like it's 0 to 20 is the first counting and stuff that he's doing at level 1 or level K, and he's 5. That's level K, so it starts off, so it's a little higher, I guess. It starts off then. Do you know what I'm saying? I think you get what I'm saying. I don't know how to. So Bible or God again. All right, so let's talk Bible or God. I'm not an expert on this topic by any means. So I like the Abeka Bible stories. There's growing up in Jesus's time, and the stories in Abeka, like that's kind of what I use for their literacy program too. They occasionally have a Jesus story, but they also have some books that are dedicated to the Bible and dedicated to what it was like in Jesus's time period when he grew up. And they're really interesting. I think they're interesting, they're well written, they're short, they're concise, they got pictures. So I just think those are excellent books. As far as teaching, teaching about Jesus's life, those are kind of my favorite. We also have a Bible, one of those Bible books. It's under Christian in the links on the website. It's under Christian, and what it is it's the one we use every day. Not every day, but when we're doing schooling, I pull it out. I like breakfast books, and it's good. It's like a retelling of the Bible stories for kids, so it's very basic. But then it tells you an activity of to how to connect with God. So I like that. But I also just like using Abeka stuff if I don't want to go too deep into the religion, but I want to create a relationship with God. I like the beginning Abeka books for the science and stuff like that, just because it does that to me, in my mind. So what I don't like, a miss, is another Sunlight miss. I don't think it's good because I think the book, first of all, you can just get it off Amazon, so I wouldn't call it a curriculum. I would just call it a book. And it does come with a DVD or CD. But I just don't think it's as captivating, I guess, as other Bible story books that I have read for children. So beyond that, I don't really have a brilliant Bible curriculum in which to share with you. Okay, so literacy. Literacy is my favorite. It's my favorite subject ever in the whole wide world. I just love it. I love it. My favorites would be Lightning Literature. And I just love their book selections, and I love their grammar program that goes along with it. Now remember, literacy programs, they tend to specialize in 1 or 2 areas. They don't always cover a bunch of different areas, although you can. Like Torchlight says it does, that it's a full curriculum, if you will. It's not. Any program that you pay $40 for is not going to be a full curriculum, and then you have to, but it incorporates, go pick your own math out. This is you could pick, go pick your own science or use this or buy this recommended science company. And then it's got like another recommended purchase for phonics program. But why I like Torchlight is I think it has the best book. Just a moment. I think it has the best book selections that I've ever seen. Just a moment. Almost done, please. I think it has the best book selections that I've ever seen. And I love their vocab. And I love their creativity aspects to it. So that's why I like Torchlight. No misses for literature. You could just DIY your own too, which is you just read books and then you ask them to recall, like, hey, what happened here? Why do you think they did that? Oh, what do you think this guy's thinking? and stuff like that. And then lastly, what do we got? We got language arts. Okay, again, language arts. I'm very eclectic, but I do like the I can learn to read now program. I think that's kind of one of the easier programs to teach kids to read on, along with the sight word cards that have pictures because it's easier to remember. And lastly, let's see. And oh, the all-in-one language arts is the Common Sense Press is my favorite. Of course, the Good and the Beautiful is good, and it's like free, so why not? But I like Common Sense Press. It's all-in-one, and I think it really does cover so many more things than any other language arts program that I've found. Like the vocab and the grammar, and it just covers tons of stuff. The literacy. I mean, there's pretty much not something that it doesn't cover. Now the miss would be the Diane Craft Right Brain Phonics. Not because it's not good. It's a phonics system, and it's a program for children if there's something going on and they find it, and your child struggles. If your child struggles, this is Right Brain Phonics that was made for. Now I just label it as a miss just because it's super intensive, okay? But I'm still doing it. I'm just doing a version of it. Like I've taken elements from it because they have great elements. I'm just not doing the full thing because to me it's a little intensive. And if I can avoid an intensive scholastic situation, I will do that. That probably does not surprise you. And the All About Reading is a miss only because it's a little dry. It's not bad, it's great, and it does work. It's just a little dry, and so I'm doing an eclectic system. All right, that is your video today. Locke, would you ask them to like and subscribe? Oh, thank you. Yep, to never miss another video.